Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 11 of Interoperability Unlocked. This is where we share insights from the intersection of trust and community, and of course, all things health data. So typically, summer is kind of slower, right? We kind of take Fridays, we have summer hours between Memorial and Labor Day. That is not the case this year. And pretty much no one has had a busier summer than athenahealth. So we are super excited to have a special guest today with us. We have Sam Lambson from Athena joining us today. So Sam, do you want to give us a quick intro of yourself and Athena?
Yeah, sure. My name is Sam Lambson. I lead product management for our data and ecosystem platform, which is everything that connects our many tens of thousands of ambulatory providers that run Athena One EHR and revenue cycle to the outside world, the ecosystem that surrounds them. So everything from data exchange to our payer platform to our other capabilities that unite the ecosystem with our providers. I've been at Athena for about 5 months, 6 months now. I came over from Oracle Health, where previously I was the VP of Interop and actually was on the Commonwealth board there. So longer time consistently with Commonwealth than either of those two organizations. So happy to be here to share from Athena.
Yeah, we're really happy to have you. Longtime supporter and friend of the Alliance. It's definitely been a busy summer. It's been a busy summer for us. I know sometimes we try to slow down over the summer, but we have done a lot with TEFCA. You guys have had some great announcements. We've had this CMS interoperability framework pledge to become a CMS aligned network. And then there were some other pledges that took place, press releases. We've had TEFCA. I know, sort of go take a pause. Now it feels like things are ramping back up. So I think there's just been a lot happening. And I know from a public perspective, we've had a lot of questions at Commonwealth that have said, what does this mean for TEFCA? What are all these changes? Are things moving fast? Are things moving slow? So I think with that, we'll just kind of jump in. Tell us from your perspective, what's been going on with Athena? What sort of big announcements have you guys been working through in the interoperability space?
Yeah, sure. So as you know, I've always been a proponent of getting to a national unified standard for data exchange across all the use cases that TEFCA envisions. So TEFCA as a strategic, endpoint for a lot of what we're doing has been a common goal for us and Commonwealth. What's great about 2025 coming into the year is, Commonwealth is tech ready, and Athena has a really strong technical capability in our single instance of an EHR that can connect once to all these things. And so as soon as we've been ready technically on the Commonwealth side, we decided to jump both legs in, connect with our customers, get them all opted into the framework, and from a technical perspective, push to get tested, vetted, whatever it took, and get everybody on to TEFCA. So that was really important because earlier in the year, there was a lot of talk, there were a lot of QHINs being announced, there was a lot of paperwork being done, but there wasn't a lot of exchange. And by bringing our nearly 10,000 practices, 130,000 clinicians onto TEFCA, we have made it real and made it operational and important for the country. And we know that there are others, right there with us trying to get to that same place. We've seen, through bringing everyone to TEFCA, an addition of 3 or 4 sites per Athena customer that have now been lit up because TEFCA has a better record location service and is able to bring more sites into our view than our previous implementation of care quality. So we're already seeing the benefits of more data coming in, more sites available to our sites, and it's just the beginning. We think there's a long way to go. So we were able to announce that earlier this year. But this is not to serve, TEFCA alone doesn't do anything for our customers. It's really how we make the data available to our customers. So you may have seen this morning that we announced an intelligent data layer to support interoperability that actually brings AI to the forefront and enables our AI first EHR that we just put some press out this morning on. So these things are all connected, and you'll see us go from talking about data connections to what we're doing with the data to make it more intelligent, summarized in the workflow, because we've created this intelligent interoperability layer, leveraging world-class cloud technologies.
That's fantastic. I think that is so important. And we talk about this a lot here is we like to break down the silos to make that data move, as you know, but it's really about what you can do with the data when you have it. And I have to just say, you know, like hats off to you guys because it has been a huge amount of work to get this number of provider organizations live on TEFCA. I haven't run the data in the the past week or so, but the last time I did run the data, I think that Commonwealth was at like 70% of all of the live organizations on TEFCA, in massive part to athenahealth, right, and bringing these clients on. So just unlocking that has been huge.
Yeah, and maybe I'll spend a minute talking
Absolutely.
about the. Oh, sorry, Courtney. Do you want to add something? Okay. So maybe I just a minute. You did
Nope.
mention the CMS aligned
Go ahead.
network announcement from last, a few weeks ago. So absolutely, we see a connection between these two things, but they are different. So we were super excited to be invited by the Trump administration, by Dr. Oz, by Amy Gleason to come to Washington D.C. to sign up both as a EHR health IT vendor and as a network ourselves, to join in the effort to make interoperability more effective. What we like about this, the framing around the CMS aligned network, is that it's really thinking about outcomes first. It's saying, can we go solve these problems that have been really, really hard to solve, both for patient getting access to their own data, as well as kind of the new frontier of prior authorization and appointment scheduling and open book appointment scheduling, and things that have been really hard to get kind of networkized over the years. And where we led before with, here are the rules, here are the laws, we're going to hand those off and force everyone to comply. This framework is much more of, here's what we want to try to do, and let's get everyone in a room to talk about it and try to fix it. And so we were eager to get involved in that conversation, be a part of that conversation. We believe actually Athena, in some cases, has already demonstrated these things for our ecosystem partners. But if we can get to more standard approaches and work to actually exemplify what's possible, for example, with payer to provider exchange, we believe that our payers are really doing well when it comes to connecting with practices, both to exchange data and to put relevant insights at the point of care to close care gaps, and also understand what interventions have been done at the point of care to help inform what they are tracking from a care management perspective. The ecosystem we built is something that's really special, and I think is something that can exemplify some of the aims of the CMS aligned network. And we can also kind of advance the networks that we're participating in to take advantage of heightened and more effective exchange. Now, for us, half the answers to the questions are we're participating in TEFCA, and therefore we're getting to this. For example, getting rid of the portal login. Like, we don't have to go figure that out again. We've already figured that out with Commonwealth and with individual access services. I'm proud to say that almost all of the individual access service happening today with applications over TEFCA are effective because they're working with the Athena sites that have turned it on. So, all the showcases that we've seen so far have been patients trying to access their data from Athena sites using no portal access through individual access services. So that's another area I'm super proud of, because, while it's still emerging and there's a long ways to go, it is making the promise that, when I'm needing more care as I age, or as I'm working with my parents, these barriers will be eliminated, and everywhere I go, I can just bring the information that's stored wherever it is with me in the apps that I choose.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Athena has definitely led the way in breaking down the barrier of patients getting access to their own data, and really setting the example and setting the standard for what is possible. And we've been super happy to just sort of be along for that ride with you guys. Would love to see more of the industry kind of get behind that. But I think that CMS has really doubled down with some of their pledges within this framework of removing the portal as a barrier and making, patient access a reality. So I guess, what do you see? I mean, we sort of said the same thing. So we pledged as a network, obviously, because it was sort of a no-brainer, just how it was for you. What do you see as sort of this intersection between, we have invested, and a ton into making TEFCA a reality. TEFCA is voluntary. CMS aligned network, CMS interoperability framework, voluntary. And there's been a lot of, I don't know if it's like misinformation or confusion within the industry around why is CMS doing it this way? Is this in direct conflict to TEFCA? I don't believe that it is. I think that there's some parallels where the CMS side can really advance some of the initiatives that we've been working on in the TEFCA space faster than without them. So what is your perspective on, are these two things going to be able to work in concert with each other, or are they, directly opposed? Where are the overlays?
Yeah, no, I see them as very complementary in terms of, we see a lot of our ability to fulfill the aims of the aligned network through TEFCA. I think it's clever to lay some stake on some functional outcomes that we want to achieve, and then hand it over. TEFCA has a governance committee. We have the operational capability now to work across vendors and actually incorporate some of this stuff in the context of TEFCA. And where TEFCA isn't the right answer, we actually have more flexibility to seek other solutions. So on the one hand, it directs potentially with a little bit less force what we put on the docket for the TEFCA agenda, and it also gives us opportunity to think through alternative approaches or net new capabilities that we hadn't previously thought through. But part of my earlier conversations and concerns as a leader, really moving a lot of resources into TEFCA, was a concern that maybe it does go away. Maybe there is a shift in strategy that undermines what we're working towards. And one option would have been to just be super vocal and say, actually, put some press releases out there saying, no, we really, 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 really want to stay on TEFCA as an approach. And instead, what we ultimately did was said, let's just put everyone on it, put an operational stake in the game, make sure it's got a lasting a staying power, which I think we've done now. And then, really anchor the industry at large in this arena where we have already established very clear lines of governance and conversation to advance these things. Because every SOP can still be written, every implementation guide still has the opportunity to evolve, and we can do a lot of that within the TEFCA framework.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Liz.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. Liz, do you agree? Do you think the frameworks will play nice in the sandbox, so to speak? And what do you think's new with TEFCA? What's happening? What's your take?
Yeah, no, I think Sam is spot on. I think first and foremost, my perspective has been, in order to enact change, we need to be on the inside doing the hard work, right? And so Athena's there. You guys put all of the eligible, clients you could get on TEFCA on. We still have hurdles that we need to overcome in getting access to licensed healthcare providers. But, by and large, we believe that we can make that change happen, from the inside. And I think being a part of both of these initiatives will allow us to do so. A lot of this is like we're learning as we go. So there's definitely things that have been written, policies and procedures that have been put in place that have been well-intentioned for the most part, but that when we really break it down and try to make it a reality, there have been hiccups and challenges. And so we look to our partners and across all of the governance, to make sure that, okay, we can iterate, we can make this better as time goes on. We have been paused for a bit on the TEFCA front, but I am happy to say that it does feel like things are picking back up. The governance structure that exists is moving forward, which is very exciting. We have some new SOPs that are going to be coming out. We have some updates to existing ones that are going to be coming out. So I think, we're on the right track. And now that we have this sort of momentum, if you will, with TEFCA and with our partners like Athena, we can input some of the important goals and trajectory from the CMS side directly into the work that we're doing in TEFCA. So I think that we can make it what we want it to be. If we want them to be in opposition to each other, we could certainly push it in that direction and be oppositional. I don't think any of us want that, right? I think that we see opportunities that have goals that serve the provider and the patient ultimately, and that's why we're here. And so wherever we can create harmony between the two different branches under HHS, and what that means for the private sector and what that ultimately means for the patient at the end of the day, we're going to do that.
For sure. So as the Alliance, we also talk a lot about trust and community. How are you seeing that play out and show up in the CMS framework so far?
I think that, and Sam, I'd love to get your opinion on this, but really
Sure.
quickly, I think that sort of the doubling down on identity and really pushing on provider identity and patient identity verification is really interesting and important. And especially as we've been having conversations around, if I'm going to query a network or a framework for clinical data, I need to have some skin in the game and prove that I have a legal right to do so. And we have seen people come in and try to skirt the system. And while those are few and far between, they do exist. And so we want to make sure that we continue to have safeguards and uphold the level of trust that we've come to know and appreciate inside of Commonwealth, and expand that into these other frameworks. So I think, verifying from a directory perspective, verifying from an individual perspective that I am who I say I am is critical to continuing to raise the bar on trust. What do you think, Sam?
Yeah, I agree with that. I have an interesting thing on tech. I think we've hurt ourselves in the last year or two in the interoperability circles by not having a good visibility into the connected entities, and letting the trust framework and the documents do all kind of govern entry into the previously established networks. And I think the effort we're taking to be more deliberate in reviewing and understanding everyone that's connected, kind of not just that they've signed, but that they are who they say they are, in addition to just the individual providers and the patients. I'm really talking about the org level entries into TEFCA. We may have overcorrected a little bit or created a little bit too much fear, uncertainty, and doubt about like the nebulous, there's a bunch of bad actors. I think we know we've been able to identify those that have been trying to skirt the system and correct those. I think we overcorrected our definition of treatment, for example, to make it super narrow, even though there's a whole variety of licensed providers providing care in a very medical way, who are cut out of TEFCA treatment right now because of some of the narrowly drawing of the lines. And those are things I think we really need to work through. But overall, by having that trusted circle, right, those people who have been evaluated, vetted, entered in such a deliberate way, that is a strength that I think TEFCA uniquely has that will allow us to enable a lot of these use cases for the CMS aligned network that maybe weren't contemplated before, but could be added to the framework in a much more ready way with the trust that we've been able to create.
Well said. Couldn't have said it better myself. Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. Aside from everything we've chatted about today, Sam, any final thoughts, anything you're especially looking forward to as we close out 2025?
Yeah, I mean,
in the next few months, or anything else you want our listeners to know?
Sure. I mean, going back to the beginning, the announcement that we've made, we're not the only ones. Artificial intelligence is here in a major way. It may be, we're really careful about clinical decision making and some of the things that are really patient safety oriented, and frankly, we're going to be good at those things too. But it's changing everything about the way we work and the way we think about summarization and search and semantic modeling and analytics and intelligence, and not having access to the complete clinical record at all times, anywhere a patient's ever been, puts our clinicians and the patients at a major disadvantage. So I'm super proud of how far we've gone. And I think these are the right pipes to have laid. But I'm really excited now with how little we used to use this data in the day-to-day practice of medicine,
Yeah.
how much it's going to light up the experience for clinicians and patients in the very short term, especially as EHRs, ours especially, turn to more of an AI first, assistant first model of engagement with clinicians. We're going to see that data become extremely important when assessing the complete impact of care decisions or the complete impact of evaluating a patient.
Yeah. Can I just underline that? I mean, historically, like this, I mean, Commonwealth's been here for 13 years, 12 years, whatever, and interoperability has been around for a long, long time. And historically, this data has been able to move and go into these systems. And a lot of times, this data is stored in its original kind of document format as a reference on the side of a patient's chart or a click or two away from a patient's chart. And yeah, maybe like the most recent one could be popped open, glanced at. But in the fast-paced world that clinicians live inside of, I would just encourage organizations that are consuming this type of data to really, if you are not already thinking about how to meaningfully, insert algorithms and AI into your solutions to make this data come to the surface in a usable way that's configurable for your providers to provide them with real insights at the point of care, you're doing them a disservice because the data is out there, the data is available. And that's where I just want to like underline that. I think that is, we need to shout that from the rooftops because we talk all the time like, oh, what do you think AI is going to do? We're just the data movers. But we subscribe to and highlight and exclamation point data usability all day long. And this is critical to making an impact in patient care. So hats off to you guys. Really appreciate the work. I think we'll probably
thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. I know it was like short notice, and we really appreciate you. But I think we just want to probably wrap up. And Courtney, you want to talk about our fall summit in 5 weeks coming up?
If it's literally in 5 weeks, I might have a panic attack, but I think you're right. September 22nd through the 23rd in Indianapolis. Registration closes August 31st. So clock is ticking. Register now, book your hotel. We have a packed agenda. Speakers are being announced next week. We have some amazing sponsors. So we hope to see you there in 5 weeks.
Yeah, thanks, I'm going to put the link in the chat as well. It's open to anybody in the interoperability industry. It's not member specific anymore. We're bringing in speakers on all different types of topics. We are going to be talking about Commonwealth, but we're going to be talking about kind of the broader, topics that we talk about here on the show as well. Yeah. What's happening in the industry? What are the challenges? How can we work together to overcome them? So thank you again, Sam. Always good to catch up and chat with you. Wish you the best and congrats on everything going on there. And with that, we will close it out. Thank you all.
See you next time.